According to this self-proclaimed biker in fake London who commented on one of my videos, Canadians cannot bike. Instead, they need to be realistic and drive absolutely everywhere, even if it doesn't make any sense. Let's just fix all of your grammar and spelling mistakes. Perfect, now it's readable. So I get where you're coming from, but you've got a few things wrong with your whole comment, which kind of nullify your points entirely. Let's get to it.
People who advocate against cars in Canada forget that the reality of Canada is that people like their cars and homes.
Oh, really? How come the water cooler chat is always about traffic and gas prices and the cost of parking and how hard it is to find parking when everyone else in the office drives a single occupancy vehicle as well, so everyone has to sit in traffic and bottleneck the heck out of highways and roads and streets, all so that they can end up circling the parking lot trying to find a parking spot that they have to pay for as well. Not to mention that most people can't actually afford their cars. Like, sure, you might not be bankrupting yourself, but if you're in debt, which a lot of people are, and not maxing at your TFSAs and RSPs every year because your personal vehicle is taking too much of a percentage of your whole take-home pay, yeah, you can't afford an expensive car. Or, like most people, can't afford a car at all. Most people are forced into driving a car that they cannot even afford. That's incredibly stressful for families on top of all of the other inflationary things going on in recent years. The financial impact of people being convinced that they need more car than they really need, and for the majority of families in Canada, a whole second or third car, is something we need to get to in a future video. There's too much to cover with that. So subscribe.
I'm a biker in fake London.
Okay, so that's great and all, but what type? What kind of cyclist are you? There are so many different types of people who ride bicycles or e-bikes or use other micromobility devices to move around cities, like parents and families and kids and students and teens and young professionals and factory workers and office workers, like everyone. There are no restrictions on who can ride a bike or what they can be used for.
Most people here don't like having extremely compact cities like in Europe.
Where are you getting your facts from? Because the most desirable parts of cities in Canada are the most expensive because they're incredibly walkable, and because of that, those places are incredibly awesome and desirable. Or how you would put it, people here in Canada love having extremely compact cities like Europe. I could go on about this part, but like, why would anyone want to sit and spend hours stuck in traffic in the worst traffic in North America on the 401?
Another reality in Canada is that time schedules are just too strict for most people to be biking for everything.
But don't worry, people have time to sit in traffic and complain about it. And yet they also have an hour or so to drive to the gym to do cardio. Like, I'm sorry, bud, but people driving to a gym and then you saying that people don't have time to bike is one of the most ridiculous events to happen, because people wouldn't need cardio at the gym if they would just ride their bikes for their commutes and errands, or, hear me out, to the gym itself, thus saving the cardio time at the gym. That's called the gym of life. Not only that, but your actual lifestyle and the choices that you make change when you don't drive everywhere. You actually spend less time commuting because you're not making rash decisions about where Timmy can, I don't know, play soccer practice. So, okay, let's go on with this Timmy thing. You put little Timmy in soccer practice across the city, which with your busy schedule means that you'll essentially be taking 4 hours out of your day to prep, drive for 40 minutes, attend soccer practice, and then drive back for another 40 minutes and then clean up on all of that. You might just say, hey, there's a soccer place that's closer. It's a 10-minute bike ride away. Let's bike over there as a family. I could get more into it, but that's just another video entirely, yet again. Side note here, if you are liking me tearing up silly arguments like this, hit that like button and comment with some more cannon fodder if you dare.
Take an example from my friend who visited the Netherlands. He explained to me how slow life is there. Not that there's nothing going on, but people spend more of their day on breaks, in coffee and bakery shops, or simply biking to places.
You're telling me that someone from Canada visited the Netherlands. So just going back to your point about most people here don't like having extremely compact cities like in Europe, your friend seems to disagree with you because he chose to visit the Netherlands. You might say that walkable places have a special place in our hearts because they are more human scale. I just needed to point out the contradiction that you've made. I mean, you make several, but anyways. But also, if he was visiting the Netherlands and not working there, he'd have noticed the same thing as if you went anywhere in the world. Not everyone works a 9-to-5 job, so as a traveler, you, who are off during the 9-to-5 grind as well, have the opportunity to see everyone else who's out and about during the daytime. Not only that, population density, the thing that you were saying Canadians apparently don't like, allow for more people to gather at once and make for an incredibly vibrant city with walkable, exciting, dynamic, human scale streets with cozy street to building height ratios and little to no vehicle traffic, which also reduces the unbearable hum of traffic in the city because cities aren't inherently loud. Vehicle traffic is what's loud. You yourself state,
Not that there's nothing going on, but people spend more of their day on breaks in coffee shops and bakery shops or simply biking to places.
I need to ask, how is biking to places any different than driving to places? Like, you're just transporting yourself like you would in a car. You're not making any sense, buddy.
These things take time, and a normal person in Canada working a 40-hour work week only has time for these things on the weekend, if at all.
I just covered this. Biking isn't just for recreation. Like, my fiance and I barely bike for fun. I mean, we have fun biking, but I'd actually say that only about 1 to 5% of our journeys by bike are for fun, and the rest are for commuting and errands and utility and just things that you would normally drive to do. We've put a cumulative 20,000 kilometers on our e-bikes in the last year or so and don't own a single piece of spandex because we just bike around in our normal, regular clothes. That's how normal it is. I think you have the wrong idea of what biking actually is. It's just a way to get around.
Everything here is big and bulk, and we usually try to do things in 1 or 2 trips because we only have a little bit of time to do so, and this usually calls for a car.
No, that's wrong actually. Sure, a lot of people go to Costco. Like us. We go to Costco, but only like 6 times per year. And yeah, we end up taking our car and loading it up until its shocks start compressing. Like, we load that up. But those 6 trips are just 6 car trips out of the thousands of other trips that we make during the year by bike, scooter, bus, or carpooling or whatever. What you are essentially saying is that you want people to not bike and instead drive for absolutely everything. So that would mean an extra 20,000 kilometers put on our car because you want us to drive. Back to those 6 Costco runs per year that we do by car, if the Costco was actually closer to us, we would probably never drive to Costco with our car, or maybe just once per year or something like that, because we would just bike. The rest of our shopping is done over the course of 2 to 3 times per week when we head over to our local grocery store by bike or scooter or something and pick up our food and ingredients for upcoming meal preps. And sometimes we are midway through a cooking session when we realize we're missing something. So one of us hops on the electric scooter and zips on over to the store. No need for parking or locking. We just hop off the scooter, take off our helmets, and walk into the store with the scooter rolling next to us. Grab the thing that we need, go through checkout, and zip on back home. Our average time for that is about 15 minutes from door back to the same door, even with the electric scooter topping out at 30 kilometers an hour. That's including travel and snagging the item and checkout and traveling back, because it's about average speed, not top speed. You may have your own reality, but that's not everyone's realities. You can't speak for everyone. Keep mobility options open for everyone. For example, my dad, who drove to work for the majority of his adult life, could have biked 50% of the time or more, but he didn't realize it until I showed him the TVP here in London one day, and his mind was blown. The Thames Valley Parkway is gorgeous and amazing, and his brains were spattered across the trees, you might say. He's in his 60s now and uses his upright e-bike instead of a car to go to the grocery store and get his groceries. And since it's either a 5-minute journey by car or 5 minutes by bike, he chooses to bike more frequently and get smaller loads just like they do in Europe. And they barely drive now. He gets his exercise, loves the fresh air, and saves his car for longer trips. Really, it can be done. It's just a choice that people make. And that small 5-minute journey opened up his mind to the just a bit further phenomenon, which is yet again another video, but it's kind of like, hey, what about a 6-minute journey? Oh, I could use my bike for that 10 to 20-minute journey. Well, okay, well, now that I've done that, what about 30 minutes, etc., etc.? Like, it's just your bubble of biking expands and your comfort grows as you bike more. After all of that, stop saying that we shouldn't have walkable cities because of all of your rubbish, ill thought out, and flat out wrong preconceived notions about what Canadians want. Everyone wants options. Also, if you've watched this far, the comment that sparked this video was from the video that you can tap on your screen right now. It's about how walkable cities are great, but also how Canada needs to have better options to get around, aside from being forced to own personal vehicles.